Alright, so now with these dovetails done at the front, the half blind dovetails at the front, they're done, they're good, they're strong as an ox, there's no glue in that and it doesn't fall apart, it doesn't even wiggle around, it's just nice and tight, so that's really good. To join the backs, I need to first cut these boards to length, and the length of the back is the distance between this side and that side at the front plus twice the depth of these rebates that I've got at the back. So the distance between here is 339, the depth of the rebate is 1.7, multiply that by 2 is 3.4, plus 339 equals 342.4. So that's the width or the length of the back panels that I need to dock those boards to, 342.4. So with these back panels, they sit inside between these two rebates there, and then I can put some dowels in there. Now what I want to do first is I want to smooth plane this front face on the inside of the drawer, which you can see and maybe feel, before I put the joinery into it, because when I sand this face or plane this face, it's going to make it a little bit smaller and it's going to move that drawer back in towards these shoulders just that little bit more. So if I put the joinery in there now and then plane that, I'll end up with a gap through here. So I don't want that. So I'll plane it now. And the reason why I haven't done that to the sides here is because of these rebates there, I can plane this face down just as much as I like, and it doesn't affect the joints because these rebates are actually defining where the joint is. So I'm taking these drawer boxes apart so that I can mark in some dowels. I'll drill them in and then I'll reassemble it all, and I'll drill through the holes that I create on the drill press, through the sides and into the back panel. So first up, I just want to mark a center line. And I better mark which is top. And then using numbers that I pulled out of the computer that look kind of nice, I'm going to measure out the dowels from the top down. So the first one's going to be 12mm down, 11.97, close enough. That one, and that one. Then 45.3, 45.3, bang on. And again, 78.7, 78.7, 78.7, perfect. And 112. So these are 124mm wide. I've gone 12mm down from the bottom. Sorry, these are the drawer sides. These are 140mm wide, thereabouts. But the drawer back is a lot skinnier at 124. So I want to go 12mm down and 12mm up. So it's 124 minus 12 equals the 112 that I'm looking for. And then so I can find them on the drill press, I want to make a point with a brad awl. Single in. All right, so to drill these out, as you can see, I've added a fence to set the position there now. Although I have each of these drill positions marked out and I could just go off those, what the fence does, it keeps everything in line, in a straight line. And that's really important because if I get one hole this side and this hole on that side, and another one here, another one here, if you were to look straight down that length there, you'll see that the holes are a zigzag and it looks really bad. This fence simply maintains a straight line. And then these marks where I want to put the holes, they simply tell me where to put it. One there, one there, one there, and one there. And if I get any of these gaps, or if I get the position of the hole left or right too far and it changes these gaps a little bit, you don't really notice it. If this is 33.5 and this is 34 and this one's 32.5, you're not going to notice any of that just by looking at it, but you will be able to notice the zigzag down the length of it. So that's why I've got the fence. And this little false bottom sits up into this rebate there so that when I drill through, it doesn't blow this back edge out, because being so close to the end, it'll blow basically. If I was to drill a hole here, it'll take out this section here and this section here, and it leaves a little divot in the back when I've put the back panels in, which, although you don't see it, it's just a nasty way of doing the job. So a little bit of a protection there and we're good to go. So let's drill them out. Nice and clean on the outside, nice and clean on the inside. It hasn't broken out any of these back edges. All good. I'll get these done and I'll get back to you. So with the sides drilled out, I could assemble this, put this in position and send the drill through there now. But I still need to put in a groove for the bottom panel, and I may as well do that now. That way I could assemble the two sides to the front, slip the bottom panel in there, and then when it comes time to put the back panel in there at some height up or down, I can simply sit it down hard onto the bottom panel, which will be in there, which will give me the vertical location. And then of course I've got these rebates at the back, which gives me the location this way and that way. And it's just a case of put a few clamps on there, drill it, and it'll be done. So I'll run some grooves through the bottom. Now when I put these grooves on here, I want those grooves to be somewhere inside the tail socket here. I was saying pin socket for ages when I was cutting all this stuff out. It's a tail socket. I just looked at the footage and I've done it a million times. Tail socket, pin, pin, tail, tail, pin socket, etc., etc. So tail socket, we want the groove to run inside the tail socket. That way when the tail comes over the top of that, it will cover up the groove that is sitting inside here. Because if I was to put the groove here, for example, well, it will leave a little check out at the end and it'll also cut away most of the pin. So that would just be stupid. Alright, so with one of these drawers assembled as best I can, the back panel just sits there on those two rebates in the back. I can get a ruler, stick it into the slot on that side, press everything hard up against each other, and I've got 350 across the width. So if I cut a bottom panel 349.5, gives me 0.5 mil of clearance on the sides, but it's not too much clearance that this will allow the sides to rack either side. So that's good. And then the depth or the width of the bottom panel will be, you put the ruler into the groove, you measure up to the back of the back panel, which I've got 327.5. So, and this is non-critical. I can have the back stick out as far as it can, doesn't really matter. So instead of cutting 327.5, I'll let it stick out a little bit and make it 330, so it'll stick out 2.5 mil. And now I can get one of these back panels, slide it into the grooves, and with a bit of luck it'll all go together, except at the bottom, which always gives trouble. You just have to flex it and then press it in like so. Get a back panel, make sure my sanded face or my planed face is on the inside, put that in there, squeeze the sides together, which is a little bit tight, a lot tight. That'll do me. And as you can see, that's sticking up, the back panel sticking up a little bit high as it sits down on this bottom panel. That's fine, I can always plane that off, no dramas there. So now I can take this over to the drill press and drill these holes into the back panel, just making sure that when I do that, I can either use clamps or just use my hands, whatever I like. I just want to make sure that the back panel is hard down to the bottom panel, so hard down that way so there's not a gap at the bottom edge here, and also pressed hard up against this rebate here, so there's no gap in there. Pretty simple stuff. And then as I go along, I just want to put a dowel into each hole that I create. Check it to make sure that I'm nice and tight on the inside corner there. And I am. So I can drill out this bottom hole as well. Now that dowel there stops this back panel from shifting up, and it also holds the top in tight. So all I need to do is wrap my fingers around here and hold that in tight this way. Nice and easy. Once again, get a dowel, tap that in. And now that back panel should be nice and tight onto the inside, like so. And it's also held in position. So all I need to do is drill out these other two holes and I'm done. When I do it, because I'm drilling into end grain, I want to clear the chips, so I only go down a little bit, but I never pull the drill bit all the way out until I'm finished. So I'm all ready to glue up these drawers. Everything's smooth on the inside faces. The outside faces I haven't touched yet because they're going to get glue and marked up long before I get them finished. So I'll sand them later. And when I glue these up, I don't want a lot of glue on this internal corner. Now to avoid that, I need to put glue on the sides of these pins, or on the sides of these tails rather, top and bottom. And then when I put the front in through here, any squeeze out will be pushed through to the outside face where it doesn't matter. Whereas what I could do is I could put glue on everything or just on the sides of these pin sockets, tail sockets. And when I put the tails in, that will push all of the glue into the internal corner and then out, and it'll squeeze out through here. So to do this, I just want glue on the outside, on the long grain of these tails. I'm going to spread it out with a paddle pop stick, ice cream stick, without having the drawer front beneath it where I get glue drips on top of it. I don't know if you can see that. Same again on the other side. And it's only the sides of the pins, or the tails, that creates the glue bond. It's actually the sides of the tails that create the entire bond. It's the glue bond, it's also the mechanical joint, it's everything. So the rest of the joint is all end grain to long grain, or end grain to side grain, or end grain to end grain. But even so, I'll still put a little bit of glue on the end grain of the tails, just to seal it so that the finish doesn't run through and into the ends of the tails there. Not that it really matters, because I'm not going to be staining these pieces. So everything's nicely glued up there, and that's the only glue that I'll put on. I could fill this up with glue as well, but when I put the tails in there, it'll force all that glue into the internal corner. I don't want that. Then it's a case of making sure I've got my groove on the bottom, put this in here, and then give it a tap with a hammer, gently. Now just give that a wipe with a wet rag, just to get rid of the excess glue. Same on the end of my hammer, so that it doesn't form glue blobs on the end of the hammer, which I'll end up dinging everything later. And then with a steel hammer, I might have some gaps along the sides of the tails here. If I give them a little bit of a tap with a steel hammer, it will compress the timber just that little bit, which will explode it out a little bit to the sides, so I can get rid of some of the gaps that way. That'll do that. Now I'll do the other side. You kind of have to work quick here, because it's not an awkward glue up, but it is quite labour intensive. So it's got to be done. It's got to be done fast, because I'm using PVA here. I've got like 5 minutes to get it all done in the clamps, but it'll be enough time. Now I can get the back and put it in. And I just want to run a bead of glue along the back edge of the end grain here. Doesn't really do much, just, I don't know, I just like doing it. Put that in there. Squirt some glue down the holes, but not too much. Shimmy the glue around the hole just a little bit. Just spread it around. Normally that's all I do, and I then pop the dowels in there. But because I don't care if I get glue all over the faces of these on the outsides, I can put glue all over the dowel and then hammer it in there. Try to get these holes lined up. Somewhere there, I think. Now you want to be careful when you knock these dowels in. You don't want to go all the way to the bottom, because any glue that's underneath there will have nowhere to go and it'll burst these sides out, just like a blowhole on the cliff edges of an ocean. You can hear the pitch change as you're hitting it with a hammer. I know that I can still bring this dowel in another 10 millimeters, but I can hear it change the pitch. So I've stopped hammering so that I don't create too much hydraulic pressure beneath that dowel and blow the sides out. And then so that I don't get the squeeze out dripping down onto my table saw, I just want to get rid of it now. And because this is water-based glue, it helps expand everything. So all of these dowels, they're currently expanding, the holes are expanding, and it's all going to lock itself down really, really nicely. And if you've ever had the misfortune of taking dowel joints apart, you'll know what I'm talking about. It is very, very strong joinery. So I just put a bit of glue on that back edge there, and I'll slide that in, put it in position, get some glue in the holes, just so that I know there will be some. Shimmy it around, shimmy, 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 and shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Get the real dowels, put some glue on the ends of these, and tap them on home. So as I'm hammering these down with the glue around the edges of the dowel, it creates a little puddle of glue around the dowel. So as the dowel goes in, it coats this upper portion of the dowel just perfectly. So I know that I get plenty of glue up the top. And when I'm tapping these things in with this tiny little girly hammer, no, I shouldn't say girly hammer, this smaller hammer, I'm not hitting very hard, because I can hit it very, very hard and it'll just blow these sides out instantly. Get rid of some of that squeeze out at the back, get the squeeze out off the top here. Just check all your internal corners so that they're not too gappy, because what can happen is the front can move forward a little bit and you end up with gaps everywhere, but they're pretty good. I'm happy with that. So now I'll move over to my saw where I've got clamps set up. and then I can clamp them up. Now, because my sides sit proud of the front, I can just put the clamp straight over the top of it, and that'll be putting pressure on the sides, compressing it into the front. And because the dowels at the back stick out, I can just put the clamp right next to the dowels, and that'll be good enough. I don't actually need a lot of pressure. I need to bring the sides in to bottom them out into the dovetail sockets, but the sides into the back, it simply needs to close up the gap between the back rebate and the back itself, so it's pretty easy to do. I don't have to crank down on the clamps at all. I just need to bring them together, and that's all that's needed. Top and bottom for good measure. And now it's time to smooth out the sides of these drawers so that they fit into the openings in the carcass. So I've got to get rid of these dowels first. And then I just need to flush out this back panel to the sides because it sits a little bit high at the ends here. So I'm flush at this end, but it's still a little bit higher at that end. So I need to taper it down just that little bit. And we'll see how that goes. And then I need to check how it's going to fit, which I know that the back, when I cut these back panels, I actually cut them a little bit too short. They need to be the best part of a millimetre longer than what they are. So they already fit at the moment, and I haven't even cleaned up these side faces yet. So that's a bit of a problem. But as it goes in, it gets stuck, because the sides here, they actually sit proud of the face just that little bit, and the face is actually the same opening as this. So I need to plane down the front of the sides while keeping the back of the sides where it is at the moment. It's a real big sin that I've committed here. So I can put these into the vise like this. So that's my back panel, and that's the overhang for the back panel where the bottom will slip in under there. So I can use this ledge and put it up on top of my bench here, clamp the vise onto the back of the back panel there, and that holds it in the vise. Now, it's not the strongest of connections. I could easily break this drawer if I'm too rough with it, but as long as I don't go putting too much weight down on this front corner here, I'll get away with it. So, and then I just need to plane down these pins here, or tails. What I'm looking for is I want to get these pins, or the tails, flush with the end of the front panel. Same on the other side. That little bit of grey there, that's what happens when you hit it with a steel hammer with water-based glue. It transfers a little bit of iron tannin to and stains the timber. It's no big deal, we're going to get rid of it anyway. And as soon as I see this end grain change colour, I know that I'm now taking a shaving off it, and so that should be nice and flush there. So it's a little bit high right there. Now I can give this a test fit, see how we go. I really want to take as little as material as I can from these sides, because I've already screwed up the job anyway, so the more material I take, the worse it gets. It's not too bad. So it's binding just a little bit on something. I suspect well, the front fits in there nice and square to the face frame, so that's good. And the gaps are still the same as what I had when I first made that, so I need to take a bit of material off the top of the front there because it's a little bit tight there. I can actually see that it's hitting on that face frame there. I'll take a few smoothing passes off the two sides here to get them nice and smooth, and we'll see how that goes. Alright, we'll see how that goes. Alright, so with a bit of luck, this will fit in there well enough that it works. It's not... See, that's a bit of a problem. There's a lot of wiggle left and right there. Well, that fits in there nice. See, there's a great deal of wiggle at the back here. So I suspect that this side here isn't actually square. I think that side must be kicked out that way a little bit, which is creating the gap at the back. Now I may be able to fix this. So, actually, if I put this in here and get the face flush with the face frame, because I can actually kick the drawer that way, and the drawer is no longer flush at the front. Like there's quite a big lip here. There's best part of 2.5 mil, so it's actually kicked that way quite a long way. So if I bring this square or flush to the face frame, which means that the drawer's now going in and out straight. If I spin it around, so looking from the back, I can see that there's a gap between the side here and the drawer guide right there. Now, because of the way that I've attached those drawer guides, I can actually take those drawer guides out and pack them out. So if I've got a piece of veneer here, which is 0.6 of a mil thick, that fits inside the gap quite nicely. So with a bit of luck, I can take the screws out of this drawer guide, put the veneer in behind there to pack it out, and that'll take up that gap, and hopefully that'll allow this to slide in and out a lot smoother. Though I don't like my chances. So then if I pull that out and get some of this veneer in behind here, which is a lot harder than what I thought it was going to be. Screw this back down. And with a bit of luck, that has solved all of my problems. See, already I know that that's not good. It's giving me trouble just getting it in there. Well, that's actually a lot better. It's not coming out too easily. It does go in there well enough. Still quite a lot of play side to side. So if I turn that around, so then the question is, do I mess around with it further, or do I simply put some wax on the guides and the runners here and under the kickers as well, and hope that that allows it to slip in and out nice and easily without very much friction? Because obviously I'm getting a lot of binding on all sorts of places here, but if you see that drawer sliding back and forward between these 2 points here in the middle, that's what's causing the problem. It's allowing it to rack inside the piston, for example. Though I'm not trying to piston fit these, I just want it to function well. So where is the problem? I suspect the problem is right there, because I've still got a gap right at the front. Let's see if this veneer's good enough. So the veneer fits in there when the drawer is at the front, but between the back, but does it fit at the front? I suspect that it won't. Now, what's going on here? That is... my drawer guides aren't flush with the inside face of that face frame. They are very, very slightly set back. That would cause all sorts of trouble. All right, let's veneer this one out as well, or pack this one out as well, see what happens. Can't hurt. Well, it can, but let's hope that it doesn't. No, bloody batteries. Well, that's not too bad. It's very tight at the sides now. Yeah, I like that. So that's as good as it's going to get. I need to take a couple of shavings off the bottom because it's a little bit too tight at to go in there now. For all intents and purposes, they do work. Can't say that I'm happy about it, but it works. Need to do a few things like knock these back corners off. Even simple things like knocking those two corners off, that actually makes it work 10 times better until I get it too far out, which if I get it there, which is your normal place where you'd pull the drawer out, push that in, pull it out, push it in, pull it out, go from this corner, from that corner, not too bad from that corner. So it doesn't work on, it does work on that corner, sort of. Nope. Yeah. So that'll have to do it. I'm going to go and do this to the other 5 drawers, and that should round out this video. Drawer, put something in there, close it, good as gold. Take the drawer open, get the thing out, close the drawer in there again. Actually, the more that I operate that, the better it's getting. Anyways, I'll get these other 5 drawers done. And just like that, I've got 5 drawers all fitted. Now, I've had the exact same problems as what I had on this first one here. I've had to pack out the drawer guides. I've had to pack out all these drawer guides, or many of the drawer guides here, there and everywhere, just to close up the tolerances, because I've been pretty laxed with my tolerances here. I actually cut these backs a little bit too short. They're about 1/2 mm or 1 mm too short. And so all of these drawers have a slight taper towards the back, which has given nothing but problems. But they work, the drawers work well enough. Now, one thing that I've been very critical about is I've made sure that when I push them in, they finish straight with the face frame. They're not cocked to the left or the right. Now, it's something that I can overcome just by using the drawer stops. But what happens is the drawer goes in, cocked to the left, and then it hits the drawer stops and then quickly cocks to the right. It's not great. So I did make sure they ended up straight just by fudging the drawer guides left and right so that they all finish flush at the front. And then I haven't done it yet, but I still have to put the drawer stops in under there, which is just a couple of pieces of timber on this rail here, which connects or hits onto this back edge of the front there. And then as that goes in, it goes in, it goes in, it goes in, it'll catch on those 2 drawer stops, and they'll be set up so that everything is flush at the front. That's what I want. And then I just need to arris these front edges, round over the inside edges of the inside of the drawer, arris the outside of the edges, arris all of these edges at the face frame and whatnot, apply the tops, apply the backs, put the drawer pulls on there, sand everything, plane everything, whatever, finish it, and that'll form the next video in this series, which I'll put up a full compilation video of this build series. So that'll be the next video, the full compilation video. Tops on, drawer pulls on, whatnot, all finished, all looking good. And that'll be that. So thanks very much for watching. It's not a great success. It's not a complete failure, but it's not a success. It'll be good enough. Once I put wax on it, like this one has wax on there, and that works quite easily. Oops. Yeah. So with a little bit of wax, it overcomes a lot of the problems that I've created by creating too much slop in the drawers. And that's the problem. Like at the back, because these drawers are slightly tapered, there's too much play at the back. And so when the drawer is out here, for example, well, that drawer can shift left and right too far. And when it's too far this way, if it's trying to go into an opening in this direction, but the drawer is pointing in that direction, well, it doesn't go in, it just binds. And so it doesn't work well, but that's what the wax will do. The wax will allow it to slip into the correct orientation and then slip in like this one here. Anyway, I've taken up too much of your time so far, so thanks very much for watching. When I get this video compiled, or the next video compiled for this, that's the next time you'll see me, unless I do the TV unit, because I've still got to do the TV unit. I've just got to put some finish on there, or smooth it, put the finish on there, let the finish cure, and that job will be done. I might do that this afternoon, in fact. Nice, easy job. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you when I see you.